Hello everyone, welcome to the IMPRINT Explained. And today we're looking at the latest news that has come from the IMF, right? That the world is now in recession. Also, Moody's talked about the fact that India's growth GDP expected this year is 2.5%. And further, it also talked about the fact that the world is contracting, the GDPs of the developed world, or right, would contract by 0.5%, right? So now the basic question becomes is what is a recession? What's its impact? What did the IMF say? Okay, so let's start. Okay, so the world is now in recession according to the IMF. What has happened? So COVID pandemic has driven down the global economy into a downturn, and that will require massive amount of funding to help developed nations. That is what Georgieva is saying. Kristalina Georgieva, who's the IMF chief. This can also be asked in your prelims. So all right. So UP prelims, UPSC, UPPCS prelims. This already has come in 2019, right? So you should know. Then obviously coming back to the article, it is clear that we have entered the recession and it would be much worse than 2009, which is the global financial recession crisis, right? The recession after that. So there is a sudden stop in the overall economy, and it would require something like 2.5 trillion, okay, which is a very, very high number, right? Think about the fact that that's approximately the GDP of India. Over 80 countries, mostly with low incomes, have already requested emergency aid from the IMF, right? And we know that our own reserves and resources are not sufficient, and we need to do more. She also welcomed the fact that the US Senate package was of 2.2 trillion. She said it's important because if the world's largest economy has a abrupt drop in economic activities, it will lead to a contagion effect all over the world. Okay, now the question obviously is what is a recession? Okay, so this is the 2009 definition. This is from the IMF, right? So it says a decline in the annual per capita real world GDP, that is purchasing power parity weighted, backed by a decline or worsening of one or more of the seven other global economic indicators. Which are those? So industrial production, right? Trade, capital flows, oil consumptions, unemployment rate, per capita investment, and per capita, right, consumption. So these are the indicators, okay, along with annual per capita decline. Okay, obviously it's very difficult to define so quickly whether it's a recession right now or not, but definitely industrial production has gone down, trade has gone down, unemployment rate has come up, the largest maybe in the last 50 years, if not more. Okay, per capita investment again obviously is supposed to decline. Oil consumption, look at the oil prices below $20. Okay, so other definitions, obviously in economics, a recession is a business cycle contraction when there is general decline in economic activity. So boom and bust, boom and recession are seen to be part of the overall economic cycle, but this is not the same, right? Because this is a COVID recession, COVID-19 recession. It's not a typical boom and bust. Okay, so in the United States, how is it defined? It's defined as a significant decline in economic activity, right, across the market, lasting more than a few months. Okay, it is normally visible in real GDP, decline, real income, right, employment, industrial production, very similar to the IMF definition, right? Okay, in the United Kingdom, it is defined as a negative growth rate for 2 quarters. Okay, some people say that even if the unemployment jumps like 1 to 2% in 12 months, it can be seen as a recession. So different ways of looking at recession, but just to remind, industrial production, trade, capital flows, oil consumption, unemployment rates, per capita investment, per capita consumptions are good indicators. So these are good indicators of recession. That's the basic idea. Okay, so good indicators of recession are obviously oil consumption, unemployment rate, per capita investment, per capita consumption, industrial production, trade, and capital flows, right? Okay, what are the different types of recession? So obviously, a lot of you would have heard of the V shape, the W shape, the U shape, and the L shape. So these are the 4 shapes of normally of recession, right? So what does this mean? So in the USA, we had a V-shaped recession, right? Many times it was sharp contraction and obviously followed by rapid sustained recovery. It occurred in 1954 and 1991. Okay, then prolonged U-shaped recession happened, right, in 1974-75. W-shaped or the double dip recessions in 1949, 1980, 82. Japan had a U-shaped recession in the 90s, right, in 1993. 1997 recession can be defined as a L shape. So what does that mean? So the GDP is contracting. So let's say, GDP. Okay, and this is the time line, so across quarters. So if the GDP is declining or going even in some ways negative, right, so obviously that would be a recession. Hong Kong, Korea, we had the Asian crisis, Asian tiger crisis. This happened in 97, right? So this happened. Thailand also had a L-shaped recession, right? There was 8 consecutive quarters of decline. Okay, now what is the challenge? What's so bad about a recession, especially the type of COVID one? So what happens is, there's something known as animal spirit. So what is this? Everybody would have heard this term, animal spirit. So basically, there's a economist called Robert Shiller. He says कि हमारा जो ट्रस्ट है एक दूसरे में, साइकोलॉजिकल ट्रस्ट, ठीक है ना, वो कम हो जाता है. Our sense of fairness in economic dealings ये कम हो जाता है रिसेशन से. Our extent of corruption, bad faith ये increase हो जाएगा, ठीक है ना, right? When animal spirits are on an ebb, consumers do not want to spend and businesses do not want to make capital expenditures or hire people, ठीक है. So that is the basic idea. So recession में animal spirit down हो जाते हैं, right? So we don't feel like investing more. So India में तो anyhow थोड़ा बहुत चल ही रहा था देखा जाए तो. Right, we in the previous lectures we did talk about that maybe India में तो already था recession, okay, because unemployment rate all time high था 6.5%, which is the highest ever, right? Maybe in some cases 7, right? Economy growth rate of 4.5%, 5% in India is seen as a recession, okay, because we cannot support such a large number of people coming every year in employment, okay. Now, which are the different types of recession technically? So first is the balance sheet recession. There is high levels of indebtedness or the bursting of the real estate bubble, say financial sector asset price bubble. इससे balance sheet recession, recession होता है. तो क्या हुआ, जैसे NPA crisis है, तो consumers or corporations have to pay down debt that save rather than spend or invest. तो automatically balance sheet recession से कम हो जाता है, right, economy. Then liquidity traps है. तो अब क्या हुआ कि बैलेंस शीट रिसेशन आया, आरबीआई ने रेपो रेट बहुत कम कर दिया, जो जैसे अभी किया, तो रेपो मैंने कम कर दिया 4.4. ना ऑब्वियसली इतने रेट पे तो लोगों को ब्याज ले लेना चाहिए मुझसे पैसे, पर नहीं लेते. क्यों नहीं लेते? बिकॉज टू मेनी पीपल आर फोकस ऑन पेइंग डाउन डेट, कि मुझे डेट अपना करना है रादर देन नया लोन उठाना है. तो इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर को आप नहीं इंप्रूव कर पाते बिकॉज ऑफ दिस. इट्स लाइक पुशिंग ऑन अ स्ट्रिंग, कुछ नहीं होता, वापस आ जाता है. Okay, lower interest rates are not useful. Then there's a paradox of thrift and deleveraging. ये इंडिया में वैसे ही बहुत ज्यादा है. So we have too many consumers who will try to save, right? That is pay down debt, and this is called the paradox of thrift. In some ways, India में always रहा है, right? We always want not to consume. Okay, so right. So there's a book which we have read. India, we are like that only, right? And in this book, it talks about the fact that Indians were non-consumers previously. Then there were guilty consumers, and this is the first generation of consumers. And I think this COVID-19 will make this generation also a non-consumer generation, or a guilty consumer generation. Okay, what are the predictors of? So obviously the most important is the inverted yield curve. So what is a yield curve? A yield curve is a curve which shows several yield to maturity or interest rates across different contract lengths, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. So supposedly आपको जैसे आपने 1 year bond है, 1 year FD, let's say for the time being let's use an FD. So 1 year FD is about 6.6% आपको आजकल मिल रहा है. So the idea is normally the 2 year FD या 5 year FD पे आपको हायर रेट ऑफ रिटर्न मिलता है. सो आपको 7% यहाँ दे देंगे, 7.2 यहाँ दे देंगे, इस टाइप का आपको चलता रहता है, ठीक है ना, राइट. सो व्हाट इट डज इज दैट इन्वर्टेड यील्ड कर्व में क्या होता है कि लॉन्ग टर्म यील्ड्स फॉल बिलो शॉर्ट टर्म यील्ड्स. नाउ एफडी में तो आपको ऑब्वियसली बैंक उतना ही देता है, बट मार्केट में ट्रेड होती है सिक्योरिटीज. सो सपोजली कोई बॉन्ड है, ठीक है ना, गवर्नमेंटल बॉन्ड, ठीक है ना, वो ट्रेडिंग हो रही होती है उसकी, तो उसका जो रेट है वो वैसे ही गिर जाता है. व्हाई? बिकॉज इन्फ्लेशन आप लो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हो शॉर्ट टर्म में, लॉन्ग टर्म इन्फ्लेशन दोबारा आ जाएगी, तो शॉर्ट टर्म लेस इन्फ्लेशन एक्चुअली मेक्स यू इन्वेस्ट इन शॉर्ट टर्म यील्ड्स, ठीक है ना. तो रिसेशन का एक वन ऑफ द प्रेडिक्टर्स ऑफ रिसेशन हम नॉर्मली बोलते हैं कि यील्ड इन्वर्टेड यील्ड कब आ रहा है। दूसरा ऑब्वियसली आप अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट रेट को चेंज कर सकते हैं, इनिशियल जॉबलेस क्लेम्स देख सकते हैं, लोअरिंग ऑफ एसेट प्राइसेस, ठीक है ना, कॉर्पोरेट डेट लेवल्स उस पर फोकस आप देख लो। आप अगर एसेट प्राइसेस गिर रही हैं, राइट, जैसे इंडिया में रियल एस्टेट प्राइसेस उतनी राइट कम है काफी, तो दैट कैन एक्चुअली टेल यू रिसेशन चल रहा है। कमोडिटी प्राइसेस ऑब्वियसली इंक्रीज बिफोर रिसेशन, राइट, हाउसिंग ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑब्वियसली इंक्रीज हो जाता है। ऐसे नॉन एसेंशियल गुड्स पे ऑब्वियसली पैसा कम खर्च होना स्टार्ट हो जाएगा रिसेशन में। ओके, सो दैट्स द आइडिया। इनकम इनइक्वालिटी काफी इंक्रीज होती है इन अ रिसेशन, so some people will become more and more rich, right? Some Amazon, for example, all the online players will become more and more strong. On the other hand, digital divide वाले से जो नीचे हैं वो और करीब हो जाएंगे। Thank you for listening. Do like and subscribe. Do comment on the video if you like it. Join our Telegram group for the PDF of this lecture. Do subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.